There is a free agent who's making it very clear that the Cincinnati Bengals are one of his preferred destinations, and in this video, I'll explain what would need to happen for the Bengals to sign him. Hi again, Bengals fans. John Sheeran of A to Z Sports Cincinnati here, and the best thing that the Bengals can hear from other free agents around the league is that they want to play for the Bengals. We should not forget anytime soon that the largest external free agent contract that the Bengals have ever offered and then signed belongs to Orlando Brown Jr. And the entire reason as to why that 4-year, $64 million deal came to place in the first place is because Orlando Brown Jr. and his team reached out to the Bengals about potentially linking up in free agency. The Bengals entered free agency back in 2023 thinking that they didn't have a chance in the world to sign Brown. They thought that he was going to get a contract either from the Kansas City Chiefs or any other team interested in signing him for a lot larger than they would be willing to offer him. But when Brown realized that his market wasn't anything remotely close to what he wanted it to be, he reached out to the Bengals as his preferred destination to just join a team that was obviously on the rise and making the playoffs and could compete against his former team of the Chiefs. And that is exactly how that all happened. Brown reached out first. The Bengals said, hey, if you want to do this, we'll offer you this contract. And Brown's like, yeah, I'll take it. Very rarely does free agency actually work like that, especially in the early days of free agency. But as the days turn to weeks and the weeks turn to months, that is kind of how it ends up going. And that is what we're starting to see from free agent guard Dalton Risner. Now, a lot of Bengals fans know who Dalton Risner is. He's been a starting guard ever since he entered the NFL as a second-round pick back in 2019, and he's just been a solid starting pass-protecting guard. And the Bengals still need another player like that to fill in one of the guard spots to just make sure that Joe Burrow's pocket is firm. Earlier this month, Risner, who's very active on TikTok, he commented on a post that described how the Bengals need to sign him in free agency, and he responded saying, I would love to be a Bengal. And then about 2 weeks later, he went live on TikTok, and someone asked him if he's on a team yet, and he said, no, I'm not on a team yet, but I have been talking to some other teams. And he was basically asking, who do you think I'm going to join? Am I going to join the Minnesota Vikings, which is the team he's played for the past 2 years, the Denver Broncos, which is the team that drafted him and he played there for the first 3 or 4 years of his career, or the Cincinnati Bengals, who he has never played for? And when he mentioned the Bengals for a second time this month, that sparked a lot of speculation as to whether or not the Bengals have reached out to him, if there's some type of a deal in place in case the draft doesn't go the way that the Bengals want. Now, NFL insider Malik Wright, who originally posted the video describing how the Bengals need to sign Risner, he reached out to Risner and he clarified the Bengals have not reached out to him at all. So all of this noise between the Bengals and Risner, that is coming from Risner himself. Now, the fact that the Bengals haven't reached out to Risner isn't very surprising. They already signed Lucas Patrick a month ago in free agency, and all their focus is on the draft right now. But just like Orlando Brown Jr. did 2 years ago, it can be Risner who can start up this sort of mutual interest here. But mutual interest is not a guaranteed thing here. Just because Risner wants to join the Bengals doesn't mean that the Bengals want Risner on their team. And I say this because the Bengals have a coach on their staff that has worked with Risner for the majority of his career already. Pass game coordinator Justin Riscati, who was hired by the Bengals last year in 2024, he was hired by the Broncos in 2019, the same year that they drafted Risner. He was an offensive quality control coach for the Broncos, and then he left to become the assistant offensive line coach for the Vikings a year before Risner joined that team. 4 of Risner's first 5 years in the NFL featured Riscati on his coaching staff. If anyone in Cincinnati knows who Risner is, it's Justin Riscati. And the fact that Risner was a free agent this time last year and ended up re-signing with the Vikings instead of joining the Bengals, who clearly needed a guard at the time, I think that says something. But again, the draft is the biggest variable here, and it's the reason why Risner has not signed with the team yet. Now, this is normally what Risner does in the offseason. He didn't join the Vikings originally until the middle of the 2023 season, and he didn't re-sign with them until last year in May. He likes to wait things out. He likes to see if there's an opportunity for him to start immediately with a good team. And if the draft unfolds in a certain way where the Bengals don't find a starting guard with one of their first couple picks, and they still need a clear, solid answer at one of those spots, Risner could be the guy that they call. And they know that Risner would be interested in playing with them because he literally admitted it twice. So if you do see Risner connected to the Bengals at this time, just know that that right now is just a one-way street. But it can be a two-way street if the draft does unfold a certain way. And speaking of the draft, it is getting closer and closer. We are less than a week away from the first round starting, and we will cover all of that next week right here on A to Z Sports Cincinnati.